Well, what do you know? Only a few months after the release of the Resident Evil 3 remake, Capcom has announced the next installment in the Resident Evil franchise, Resident Evil 8, or Resident Evil Village as it's also known, coming to PS5, PC and Xbox Series X in 2021. Firstly, let's take an in-depth look into what we've seen so far in the announcement. And it looks like the leaks for the most part were correct. The game is in first person, following on from Resident Evil 7, and seems to continue the story from that game, with Ethan back as the protagonist in a new nightmare. The game's setting is the titular village, like what we saw in RE4, but with a few noticeable differences. This village seems to be in a much colder country, as snow covers the landscape, and I'm glad RE is using a snowy setting again, as I don't think it's been properly done since Code Veronica. And yes, there's that chapter in RE6 where you play as Jake and Sherry in the mountains, and the Umbrella's end levels in Umbrella Chronicles set in Russia. But those were action-orientated experiences. This game will finally give us another chilly survival horror environment. The trailer also shows us a lot of characters about the village, again setting it apart from RE4, as these villagers don't seem as dangerous as the Ganados. It looks like they'll be helping you and are fighting whatever is terrorizing this village too. And what is terrorizing this village? Well, the leaks suggested some pretty different kinds of enemies to the series, such as werewolves and witches, and after seeing the trailer, it looks right. So we get a glimpse at a Beastman, something that looks a little like the Executioner in RE5, a creepy old lady that could be the village witch, and what also looks like a cult of vampires with a woman in charge who gives me very strong Alexia Ashford vibes mixed in with some Salazar. Whoever this Aristocrat is, she sure looks like a villain, and I hope our boss fight has some epic orchestra music. Next, I want to talk about the gameplay features. As mentioned, RE8 is in first person. I know some people will groan at that, not everyone likes first person, especially those with motion sickness, but for those who did, such as myself, this is great news. I do prefer third person usually, but I liked how claustrophobic first person in RE7 felt, and that's not to mention how immersive the game was in VR, which I hope they also utilised for RE8. Aside from the camera choice, the game looks to return to the same survival horror mechanics as RE7 had. The developer message that was released after the trailer showed some very brief gameplay where we got a look at the game's inventory system. And Resi 4 fans rejoice, the Tetris style inventory seems to be back from Resi 4. I really like this inventory style, and I always wondered why it's taken so long for them to bring it back when it seemed fairly popular. The screenshot also shows a currency system that will be in the game, and the currency name hints at the setting to be Romania. An interesting choice of a location, since it fits in with the horror tropes this game seems to have. Witches, werewolves and vampires all have connections to Romanian folklore, so maybe this game will delve into that. A final point to add is that the developers themselves said RE8 will have more action, at least compared to RE7. It'll be interesting to see what they mean by this. Will this game go the RE4 route, or will it try to be a mix of action with survival horror, or will it be a survival horror but just a bigger scale version of RE7 with a lot more going on? As the game has you playing as Ethan again, I do doubt we'll be suplexing or haymaking our way through the village like Chris and Leon did in 4, 5 and 6, but I expect he might have some new survival skills after his experiences in RE7. So why am I excited? Well, this village looks amazing. It looks like a mix of RE4 and RE7. The castle interior especially looks incredibly eerie with its gothic vibes. The trailer shows a few clips hinting at puzzles in this game, which makes me very, very happy, as one issue I had with the Resident Evil 3 remake was the severe lack of puzzles, and puzzles in RE are very important to me. The trailer also shows the Umbrella logo at one quick scene, and it's good to note that this is the old Umbrella logo, not the new reformed version that appeared in 7. So this game may have some story connection to old Umbrella. I think officially the lore states that Umbrella was founded in Europe by Spencer, so this game may touch upon that, possibly. That gets me a little hyped, as I reckon this game's story will continue from RE7, with learning about who the connections are, the people who made Evelyn, whilst also introducing a new mystery with this village and its inhabitants and monsters, plus also tying in some classic Resi lore into the mix. It's just a hunch, but I reckon this game will be very important story-wise to the series, probably as important as RE5 with the death of Wesker, who up to that point could have been considered as the main series villain. And of course, I can't forget to mention their ending. Chris is back, looking more like himself again, and has seemingly turned rogue. I think this might be a bait. Capcom have been known to try and bait fans before, as they did with RE7, trying to make it seem more supernatural, which I reckon is what they are doing with RE8. I bet behind all this there's a conspiracy with their company involved. Probably the connections and whatever is making these monsters is another biological agent. I know some people think this game might have actual werewolves and witches, but I'll be very, very surprised if that's the case. The start of the trailer says his story comes to a close. Some people have suggested this may hint at the end for Chris's storyline, but this may be another bait. Saying that, I think behind the scenes, Capcom has wanted to kill off Chris in a few other games but never went through with it. I think I read somewhere he was supposed to die in RE6 instead of Piers, but that just might be a theory. I might be completely wrong. I think this is just something I read on the internet. But who knows though, they might actually think this time, oh yeah, we're gonna end his story. Or it could be relating to Ethan. I mean, Capcom have also said this will be the conclusion to RE7, so it could be the end of Ethan's storyline, which I think less people would be bothered about because I don't think Ethan is a very popular character. Anyway, we'll have to wait to see next year. So that's all for this video. What do you guys think of the RE8 Village reveal trailer? Are you excited, disappointed, or somewhere in the middle? It'll be interesting to see in the following months to find out more about this game and discover what secrets this village holds and what Capcom's going to be doing with this new entry. I think Capcom said the next update will be in August, so until then all we can do is speculate. Other than that, my next video on the best levels of Tomb Raider 2 should be up shortly, as I'm about 80% done with that, so expect some more videos soon. Until then, I hope you will stay safe, and thank you for watching.